Hello. Good morning. Happy Friday. I hope you can hear me okay because we're about to read chapter 15. Hi, my name is Janera Pagan, and I like to live read for you all. And we are currently on chapter 15 in this Turning Within book written by Steven Twohig, Reclaiming Your Soul from Shadow. And this process is called closing the circuit. Chapter 15. Taking the fruit to the root. Personal transformation isn't always comfortable. Often, it is even painful. But that's okay. It is partly the pain of this internal voyage that changes you. As you leave your mark on your work, it leaves its mark on your consciousness and heart. You leave more things behind, take some with you, and hopefully share some things with others along the way, even if only in stories. This is the way, but only if you decide to make the journey. You cannot cross the sea merely by standing on the shore and looking at it. Robert Hurd. The easiest way to see how constructs inform and define reality is when we are in shadow. It's also when you may feel the least like you're doing your work. It's when we spin entirely false narratives to avoid getting into our suffering any deeper. Yet, the squeaky wheel gets the oil. Shadow allows us to study how we operate at a core level. If one of our first awakenings is that we have thought, the one screaming in our ears becomes invaluable. Practitioners learn to work with their suffering because they understand how suffering can be blessing. We begin to dethrone the bully in our mind and liberate our resources to reroute the other areas of thought and life. I have heard thousands of seekers declare, I feel lighter. I've seen it across all spectrums, and if you sit with it long enough, the sacredness of your suffering becomes undeniable. Recognizing loops of suffering is a fundamental skill every practitioner develops. When we bring awareness to our life, we shift control of our shadow and begin a journey of healing. Through the awareness we bring the construct up to our consciousness, then we break down the samskara that has us repeatedly experiencing the same patterns of suffering. Here is where we regain the genius that affords us our dominion. We are free to create new stories and constructs to witness what the human condition is capable of experiencing. You do the work. You bring light to your part of your world. You journey towards that which is your birthright, your well being. Set and setting, permission to dive. The following process explores the space between experience and judgment. This space is the choice point where change happens. It's here that you carry magic so powerful it bends space time. Remember, you wrote the code. Therefore, you're the only one who can rewrite it. You want to permit yourself not to take yourself too seriously. Everything you know about what you know is made up. The objective here is to treat this as playtime, just like your genius little one used to play when they were on the playground. Remember for a moment what it's like to play as a child, the act as if. However, instead of pretending to be something you are not, you'll drop into the loops of suffering you get caught in. By exploring the cave you resist entering, you'll find the parts of you that resist or deny. It's time to slay the dragon that hides the most remarkable treasures you have ever seen. Your mind is wired for change. Trust the process and let the mind do what it's built to do. It's time to remove the shackles and purge them so you can receive new ones. It all starts with grace. The more you can allow anything that comes up in its place, the deeper your mind can dive, the more effective the cleanse. Remember, your mind doesn't want to suffer. It's why you keep cycling through the same drama in your head repeatedly. It's trying to let go of something it doesn't know it's holding on to. Set down your greatest weapon. There is one weapon you have that you will have to set down for this next part. I have given you, rational mind, a lot to chew on, but hopefully it has been able to stretch in several areas already. This next exercise will take you past your rational thought. It can come along, but let it be the passenger and not the driver. Genius is large enough buckets will appear impossible, but what starts out impossible will quickly move to possible. If given a moment to be realized, that possibility will transform into the probable. What is probable becomes likely. What is expected ends up being the most rational direction to go. You must mine for the answer before your mind can wrap around it. This stretch is past the rational knowing and into the deeper parts that support it. Absolute truth sits at the corner of paradox and confusion. When you look at your suffering through the contemplative eye, you activate the process of transmuting your suffering into insight. Einstein suggested you can only solve a problem with a different mindset than what you got into. Your contemplative eye sees the world beyond your programmed reaction. You activate an alternate state that opens you up to purge the old ideas and cultivate a new life. The raw ore of your experience opens you up to profound experiences of growth and meaning. Be okay with learning something new. You're about to let go of stories that you have left you in suffering by leaning in instead of resisting them. But you can only let go at the level you are willing to allow yourself to carry the magic where it yearns to flow. Closing the circuit, origin story. Every significant threshold needs a story. This one is cloaked in shadow and has a journey like origin. The closing the circuit process is a collaboration of a lucid dream I had as a kid, the vision given to me while working with plant medicine, 20 years of study and practice, and most importantly, the hundreds who brought their work to the table so that I can learn this process through them. My childhood dream. When I was young, I dreamt I had a visit from my adult self. In that dream, my adult self comforted me, telling me everything would be okay. But I wasn't just being told. My older self transmitted a level of certainty that transcended words. It transcended knowing. I was becoming aware. It was so intense that the energy of it woke me up and kept me up for the rest of the night. It felt more accurate than the waking dream world we find ourselves in. I found out later while researching dream yoga that they call it a lucid dream. That dream lifted me through countless rough patches. It was my comfort blanket when I couldn't find any other warmth. I remember it was like a candle in some of my darker nights of the soul. Many years later, I now realize that dream was somehow a seed of the process I share with you now. I don't completely understand how and why it works. To be honest, I don't care. This process has helped me countless of seekers tend to their shadow. If you come to this process ready to participate, I have seen miraculous results in the lives of those doing their work. The vision. Right after COVID 19 hit, I was tapped to create an online integration community. The goal was to support over 20,000 community members working through the medicine of ayahuasca. We needed a way they could continue their work while waiting for everything to start back up. The vision shown to me on my third and fourth ceremonies clicked into play. Mother showed me how everything had its place and I had mine. I've been working through integration circles for over 20 years and had just spent the last 10 integrating a business system in thousands of businesses. I immediately realized I was brought to the medicine at this time. We offer anywhere from 8 to 24 unique integration groups and serve over 40,000. The closing the circuit process was born in front line of the deep change work. The container. I learned to practice shadow work through attending an immersion process followed by decades of sitting in a group structure to support shadow work. The container or group we practice has been constructed to amplify love, forgiveness, divine guidance, healing, empowerment, authentic community, and raw genius. The amplification comes from the holding space to build the container the seekers unpack their work in. Although each journey is both powerful and innate, the lessons are shared by everyone in the container. The light emitted from every breakthrough is breathtaking. It's like the scene in The Matrix when Neo and Trinity cut through the clouds. I tell you, people glow like lighting up a city. My life has been forever deepened by the blessings I receive from the diverse integration groups I have the blessings to sit with. Specifically, thank you if you are among the many who have sat with the container that incubated the process. You have given more than you know. This is the sacred process that has emerged from your work. We all thank you for being our teacher. Your work makes this book possible. Reader, we have a space that we have blessed for you that sits beyond space and time. Allow yourself to pretend while leveraging a proven process to help you find your answer. This process you have in front of you is as close to the path we can get you without having to guide you in front of it. We invite you to wander into the dark water, dive into the deep, and see if you pull out the same pearls we pull when we dive into ourselves. Induction, the first round, is bringing as much of all of us as we can to our axis mundi. Bring your conscious here and now. To begin, take a deep breath in, light a candle, say a prayer, and now ask yourself, do you permit yourself to see your darkness, the parts you hide, repress, and deny? Do you commit to treating yourself with compassion and understanding and allow those parts to come forward? Do you permit yourself to see your brilliance? Do you permit yourself to see the genius that only can come through you? Remember, this isn't therapy, and if you need professional help, please seek it. This is a way to find the keys you lost to your car you forgot you drove, to the problem you think you have. By turning within, you find answers to questions that can't be found elsewhere because they sit beyond the physical world. I have my hypothesis on this works, but the truth is the process does something beyond rational thought. Trying to understand has been the joy of my career. Tracking the thief of joy. The mind creates meaning. The meaning generates a charge. If that charge is something the mind is hiding from itself, you will find ourselves caught in loops of suffering. An adage says, "A coward dies 1,000 deaths." I trade my victim identity for any coward and their 1,000 deaths. I'll run 1,000 scenarios plotting my doom by the end of the day. It was astonishing for me to realize that I was telling myself the same suffering story over and over again. Like I was finally being let in on a cosmic inside joke. I was playing on myself. I guess it was all my fault. I wasn't prepared for what that meant in the practical world. Let's see what you find. The first step is to define the pattern. Second, load the holographic memory up so it can be analyzed. If you are one of the thousands who have been through our Zoom sessions, you have heard me ask a seeker, check around in your pockets. To do so, you have to walk a mile or so in your old shoes. You got to feel it. I'd suggest leveraging this book to work through a piece of your work you have been chewing on. Let's dig in and see what gems you can pull. I look forward to hearing how this process has worked for you. Closing the circuit, fruit to root process. Step 0, identify the story and load the construct. We all get caught up in a story. The mind craves story. It's a scientific fact. To think otherwise is to be ignored and how you operate. I have yet to meet someone who doesn't have a shadow. Shadow is an innate but collective challenge. It's virus that corrupts the system, the thief of joy, the robber of sleep, but also the source of insights and genius. What's the loop of meaning which plagues your thoughts? Perhaps I tell myself how I'm not good enough, or I feel like I'm being attacked. Notice the last time you were in a suffering or condensed state. Look back over your week and see where you were suffering because you were tangled in a storyline. What story wraps you up and binds you when you are suffering? What's the identity you find yourself caught in? We all get caught in cycles of suffering. The key is to notice when it comes up, turning within and doing the work to investigate and unravel the construct. Here is an opportunity for you to discover the treasure right before you. Hope you will give this a wholehearted try. Prompt. What's the story you tell yourself that steals your joy? I tell myself what? For example, I tell myself I'm worthless. I tell myself I'm not fast enough. I tell myself I'm not pretty enough. Step one, navigate to the recent trigger, narrative load. Now you have identified a storyline and it's time to thread the needle and dive into the work. You will begin, you will be charging in with eyes open to face the monster hiding in the deep. You will have to allow your shadow to come forward to this process. This next part is what your work hinges on. The more you are willing to go deep, the more healing you will facilitate. Let go of your rational mind and follow the voice telling you. Allow whatever to come up, just to come up. Your mind wants to right itself if you only learn to let it. We aren't diving into a distant memory just yet. Instead, we're looking for a recent moment when some piece of your suffering state came online. You want to load the whole storyline into your narrative to reactivate the charge. This is a missing piece for some people who attempt this work. You start where the construct casts a shadow onto the 3D world. The lack of association causes a disconnect in integration. That leads to a loss in impact from your hard work. We teach from the lessons of Ram Dass, who has quoted as saying, suffering only shows where you are attached. That is why, to those on the path, suffering is grace. We want to follow the breadcrumbs. Therefore, stick with the most recent time you remember this storyline coming up. Instead of loading a new memory, navigate back to recent time when an earlier experience cast a shadow over now. This recent triggering event will serve as an entry point for investigation. When was the last time you remember feeling this way? Allow yourself to load the construct to feel around it. Load up the last moment you recall the story and the shaping of your narrative. Pretend for a moment you were back in that place. You were looking for a time you were caught up in the story and you were in the suffering. One way of asking this question is to complete the sentence. There was this one time where where were you specifically? What do you recall about that specific moment? Were you inside? Outside? Was it daytime? Was it nighttime? Was the moment at the beginning of the week or the end? What day was it? What was happening right before the charge came online? Who was there with you? What were they doing? What did it feel like the moment the trigger hit? Now, move close as possible in your mind to the moment the charge came online. What was the trigger? Did someone do something? Say something? How did that moment feel? Now, go to the moment right before the charge came online, right before the feeling began. Find the threshold of the moment. This is essential. Either go to it when the feeling first came, or find the time you remember the moment coming on. And then you need to walk through the memory frame by frame. Step two. Hi, thank you. Visualize the feelings. This process allows you to activate and deal with feelings which are more challenging to transform, making the construct in question both tangible and accessible. By giving form to your feelings, you better equipped to investigate them without resistance, enabling a more profound exploration of their roots. This process supports deepening your connection with the constructs of your mind created, and there you're stuck. Let's investigate the emotions and sensations associated with a recent triggering event, leveraging your active imagination to experience your emotions as colors, shapes, textures, sounds, and voices. Opening yourself up to this new way of process, the feelings you experience as they surface. Load your feelings and investigate them. Mad, sad, glad, scared? Were you feeling shame or disgust? What specifically were you feeling? Load up the feelings now. How do you know that you are feeling this emotion? Do you feel a pressure or a condensing someplace in your body? Where in your body do you feel it? Locate that part now. Touch it with your hand. Now let that feeling grow. Instead of resisting the emotion, lean into the feeling. What happens when you open yourself to it? If it had a color, what color would you give this feeling? Let go of the rational thought. Explore, play along. Whatever comes up for you exactly is right. Take a moment to investigate your emotional consistency of the charge you feel. Feel around its edges and underneath it. What consistency would you give it? Is it hard? Heavy? What shape is it? Here, you're beginning to make the emotion tangible and accessible. Now, if the emotion had a sound, what sound does it make? Give your emotion a sound. It doesn't have to make sense. Remember the moment where you were, how it made you feel. What was going on when you gave this feeling a meaning? What do you hear? What kind of sound does this emotion make? What do you notice about the sound? What does giving the emotion a sound do to the feeling? What does sound what sound does this emotional suffering make in your head? Now, give the feeling a voice. If this feeling were speaking something directly to you, what is it saying? Drop down into a deeper type of listening and hear what the feeling really speaks. How old does this voice sound? Is it a man? Is it a woman? Notice everything, all of its useful information. All of this offers threads for you to begin to pull part of this tapestry. We call engaging a construct and loading an holographic like experience activating a charge. By now, if you're engaging in this process, you're immersed in your work. If so, allow yourself to feel all the connected feelings rising within yourself. You're doing a great work. If not, no biggie. Go back and return to the first part. You're looking for an uncomfortable feeling. This will provide you the opportunity to feel uncomfortable. Therefore, you can then investigate your discomfort. Breathe into your suffering and allow it to come online fully. Now is not the time to resist. Now is the time to persist. Now is the time to stop running. Step 3, embrace safe space. Now, let's load up some protection. Remember, your mind is designed to keep you safe. You have to teach it to work with you. Think of a protection as a layer to keep you from reliving anything your mind considers too intense. Remember, the mind makes a horrible master, but it makes a fantastic servant. When your mind is actively protecting you from judgment you hold, it's impossible not to have a blind spot. Therefore, Giving your mind a layer of protection makes the dive into the depths of suffering easier to manage. Prompt: imagine you're sitting comfortably in a movie theater. Picture yourself in a movie theater. Where do you like to sit? Did you bring popcorn or soda? What do you take with you to the movies? See yourself there. Ready? Now, imagine the lights going down and the curtains going up. As the veil lifts, you see on the screen a scene you know all too well. You are safe in the theater as you load up the following prompts onto the screen. Step 4: seek the root of identity. Prompts: when is the earliest time you remember feeling this way? What is the earliest moment of emotional experience where your mind feels safe enough, trusting you to work with the emotion right now? Remember, you're safe in the theater. Remember, healing requires you to allow yourself to venture to that moment safely. Remember, you can't heal what you don't feel yourself. Now is the time to descend. Go down to the root and find that open loop echoing in your life. Here is where you have to understand. You have the understanding to close the echoing circuit. It's time for you to take the fruit to the root. Trust the process. Trust the safety of the theater. Trust what you have felt and what you feel. And now on the screen, where you first came upon this feeling, deeply investigating the first time you remember taking on this message. Play the movie out in your head. Step 5: transmute through awareness. Prompt: now that you brought safety in, investigate the origin of your emotion in its glory. To change a form, we first must know its real name. Now load up the construct onto the screen before you. What is the plot, story, emotion, decision, identity, and belief you gave meaning to in that moment? What nightmare did your mind present it on the screen? Is it typical to experience details surrounding the event? Those details may be intense. As you investigate, your thoughts may travel this path. I just imagine what he was thinking. What was it you were imagining? I imagine what must have felt like. What did you imagine? Feel through all this exploration. This is the important step in your healing. It's essential to identify and feel what your judgment is causing. Locate where the pinch of your consciousness happened. Here, your goal is to wrap your mind around the charge, allowing yourself to fully associate with that charge is doing to you. In other words, do the opposite of spiritual bypassing. Tend to the wound with intention rather than a sparkly band aid. Consider these questions. What is the feeling that comes up for you when you watch your other self on the screen? What's the story you made up in this moment about yourself? What identity did you take on about the world? What beliefs did you learn to take for granted? What was the judgment that came online at that moment? From a safe perspective, bring your awareness into this dark place. When will you ever come this far to come this far? You're here now and you're doing fantastic work. Again, feel your judgments. Feel around the roots of emotions. Feel around within yourself. Notice what it feels like when this construct comes online. Feel around within this construct. Check your pockets, so to speak. Place your awareness entirely inside the container of this moment in time. Now consider what you notice about this space. Notice how your narrative changes. Does this space in your head shrink or expand? Notice the identities which come online here. Did a victim identity take root? Notice any emotion your little person had difficulty carrying. The goal here is to align and allow. You have already begun the healing process just by bringing your awareness. As hard as it may be to believe consciously, have faith that your healing process has begun. Can you hold space for yourself right here? Some part of you is just waking up and beginning the journey home. Next time you experience the same charge into the present, you can process the experience from a different perspective. You will have a deeper understanding of where it originates. You bring light to make your unconscious conscious, teaching yourself to respond instead of react. If you've done this process before, is there something deeper you yet to realize? What what more can you become conscious of? Are there more emotional parts of you which still need tending? Now, hold on to this moment. Look forward to that part of you which was recently triggered. Back to this timeline when you recently felt this construct come on. Back to the surface of your life. There is a whole bunch of gold right here yet to be mined. How are these two moments related? How was the construct of this memory cast a shadow on the surface of your life? Can you recognize when you triggered how a part of you activates and wraps your reality? When you are triggered, what have you programmed yourself to do? Look along your timeline to discover the times when this identity within you is triggered and comes online. Look at how deep you go and notice how much you operate by navigating around this wound. Notice how brilliant this part of you was protected in this situation. And repeat after me. Thank you, mind, for keeping me safe. Now, this is an important next step. Notice what part of you yearn for. What was the thing you most wanted and needed after the trauma to heal? Don't assume. Allow yourself to plug back into all of this. You need it all together for this next step. What did you need to grow up and live in your power and genius? What would it have meant to you and your life had you received what you needed? Let's give you a way to identify this construct with a name. Did you have a nickname as a kid? Ideally, it would be one that lets you see this little person from a unique identity that were to you. Also, I invite you not to choose a mean nickname. This part of you has been beaten up enough. So if you give this little person a nickname, what would you call this part of yourself? Resetting and releasing deep construct. Take a deep breath. As you exhale, visualize a screen in front of you, playing out a scene haunting you from your past. Now imagine holding a remote control. Press the pause button, freeze the screen, rewind. Rewind the scene to a moment before the inciting incident occurred. Let the image rest there. Feel the ambient temperature around you, the sensation of the chair beneath you, the gentle rhythm of your heartbeat. Ground yourself in the present. What month is it? What day is it? What time is it? Take a moment to observe your surroundings, the colors, the objects, and any signs of life. Then come back to the present. By following this exercise, you might already feel the weight lifting from your shoulders. Even before delving deeper into the healing process, recognize how the scene on the screen is a mere fragment of your past, and you are here, now, in the present. Allow yourself to leave the emotional baggage of your old memory behind, focusing on the now. Shake off the remnants of that memory. Shake it off the same way animals in the wild shake off stress after a high intensity event. In the vast expanse of our consciousness, there are moments when we find ourselves trapped in the whirlwind of past traumas, memories, and emotions. These moments, though intangible, hold a significant grip on our present, often dictating our reactions, decisions, and overall well being. But what if there is a way to navigate through this intricate maze of the mind and find a reset button? A way to release the pent up energy and return to the present moment, revitalized and free. In the wild, animals have an innate ability to process and release trauma immediately after experiencing a threat. This is called the autonomic reset. For example, consider a deer. After narrowly escaping a predator, the deer doesn't carry on as though nothing has happened. Instead, it goes through a physical process to release the trauma, starting from the tip of the nose. A visible tremor runs through its body, traveling all the way down to its hooves. This shaking is not a sign of weakness or fear. It's a natural mechanism to discharge intense surge of survival energy and reset the nervous system. This behavior is unique to the deer. From birds to mammals, many animals exhibit this post-traumatic shaking. It's their way of letting go of the charge from the traumatic event, ensuring they don't carry that stress with them. By shaking it off, they release that pent up energy, allowing them to return to their natural state of balance and calm. Humans, however, have lost touch with this primal ability. It wouldn't be uncommon for someone to be shamed for shaking due to fear. Instead of releasing traumatic energy, we often hold on to it, allowing it to become embedded in our psyche. This retention is largely due to the constructs we form in our minds. These mental constructs often create a way to make sense of or cope with traumatic events, trapped the emotional and energetic charge of the trauma. Over time, these unprocessed traumas, these unprocessed constructs accumulate and run unconsciously in what we can refer to as our deep conscious. These constructs influence our behaviors, reactions, and even our health. The challenge for humans is to find a way to access and reset these deeply ingrained constructs. Just as a deer shakes off its trauma, humans need a mechanism to release and store energy from past traumas. This doesn't necessarily mean physically shaking, though somatic practices use physical movement to address trauma. In sessions of psychedelic medicine, we can observe the behavior as anything from yawning to giggling. It can be pronounced as screaming and as inconspicuous as stretching. Now, It's time to harness the energy you've been cultivating and channeling it towards healing. Engage fully in this process. Take a moment and walk around. Shake off any lingering tension and ground yourself in the present. Remember, healing is a journey, not a destination. It requires trust, commitment, and strategic approach. The mind, being the complex entity that it is, needs assurance. It needs to know you can handle the emotions, memories, and traumas it presents. By proving you can shake off the past and return to the present, you earn its trust, paving the way for deeper insights and profound healing. Embrace this process. Remember you step. Remember every step you take is a step towards a brighter, freer future. Now let's meet the medicine. Step 6, introducing your sacred identity. The next step is to introduce this part of you with the sacred part of you that solved the question. Your sacred identity. If the external opportunity arose, you would offer this part of you as medicine. This is the whole nature of the loop we get caught in. You would find yourself compelled to offer support, like a hero compelled to slay a dragon. One way to clear a shadow is to uncover the identity that comes from a place of grace towards others. However, we are looking for a specific grace. By leveraging your own solution to the problem, we give ourselves the very medicine we become to solve the problem. Because some part of us becomes the person our little person would have most felt safe with. We become the people that we would have felt safe with. The call to adventure, hard coded in our system, would draw your medicine to the surface. Sometimes it's hard to see, but it's there. By noticing you are the person you have been waiting for, you realize you are the only one who can heal yourself from the patterns that have you stuck. The purpose of your suffering has always been to end suffering. Let's start by ending it at every source. It reclaims energy spent by managing shadow, by tending to it. It's not enough to understand this step. The magic only sits in the subjective experience of what comes next. You must embody it. You are looking for the identity you created to write the algorithm your mind has been running. Prompt. When was a time you were the medicine for someone else's suffering? If you could have been with a stranger in a public place or in an intimate meeting with someone close, it can be a massive moment for you, or as simple as giving a change to a homeless person. What you're looking for is a time when you notice someone felt what you were when you were suffering. Look for a moment when showed up feeling unloved, unsafe, unsure, like they didn't have a voice and you were there for them. You're looking for a time when you and it mattered in a way that resonated with you. It doesn't have to be dramatic or hugely significant, although it can be. You only need a specific construct which exists in your holographic like experience, whether it is big or small, making no relevance because your rational mind weighing in has little value in this process. The scale you're using is stuck on the other side of the shadow cast. We are looking for cure when you felt on purpose. like you were grateful you could be there in a specific way for someone, a time where you were a catalyst, where you were a soul friend, an anamkara, showing up for someone when it mattered. You're looking for a silver of a certain kind of shift. What was it you noticed? Did you see it in their body or their eyes? Was it a thank you? Perhaps it was when you witnessed their life shift. Lo, that very threshold moment you realized, yes, I was on purpose. Go into the face of that threshold of that moment and load up what it's like to channel grace and hold space for someone. Feel what it felt like when you realized they got it. What is the feeling running through you at that moment? Load up this construct and feel around in your pockets. Orientate yourself spatially. Activate this construct. Consider, where are you in this moment? What day was it? Day or night? What are you feeling? Where do you feel that in your body? Does your narrative expand? What is the mindset of this identity? Go back and load up your narrative. What are you saying to yourself in this moment? What's the new story? What are you feeling? Touch this part of you now. Take a deep breath into that part of you. Feel what it feels like to have the hand of grace. What does it feel like? Color, shape, consistency? Give it a sound. What does this fantastic feeling sound like? Give it a voice. What's the message this feeling has for you and the world? Speak the message out loud. Breathe deep into this construct and fully embody this part of you. It has an equal right to exist within you, same as the victim identity. Feel it. Now, give this new sacred identity you created and cultivated a name. This is a powerful tool. You have a powerful identity you've been unconsciously expanding. What would happen if you consciously develop a relationship with the perspective and identity? Imagine if you allowed yourself to come from this part of you all the time. Wouldn't it be interesting? When does the dog become the family pet? When you give it a name. Your internal identities are similar. Allow yourself to embody this identity entirely. Notice how this identity exists in you always. Notice how it is always here for you to load up and raise your vibration. Invite this part of you to come online more often. Step 7, gain liberation. This is where you get the gold. This is where the game changes. This is the process to close the circuit. Give yourself what you've been yearning for. That action creates a feeling of completion. You gain a sense of ownership over yourself. You can put different meanings in place. That action rewrites your core story and levels it up to something more empowering. The place is here. The time is now. Time to tend to shadow cast upon the surface of your life. Align your programming to bring you to the true guru of your life. You. Today, you are not settling for the surface answer. Today, you heal. Now, this is vital. Staying in your sacred identity allows you to maintain your identification with life and your primary point of reference. In your mind's eye, permit yourself to return to the theater. Look back at the movie screen. Do you see the little person on the screen? Imagine your sacred identity stepping into the screen like the hero you are. Step into the scene where your lower identity is trapped. Now, does your lower identity see you? How do you know? What is the expression on their face? What has to happen here? Staying in your sacred identity, ask what has happened here. Sacred identity, what has happened here? How do you bring love and healing into this construct? Sacred identity, you know them better than anyone. What is your lower identity yearning for? What did you always pray would happen? Now is the time. Sacred identity, give to the lower identity what you need. Consider this. Do you need to be free? Do you need to free them from their prison? If so, free them now. Maybe they need to hear that they're good enough. Tell them what they need to hear. Perhaps they needed to know they were loved. How can you show them that now? See the genius in them, the innocence. Notice the light glowing within them. What grace has been withheld from this part of you? Now is the time. Now let's add something more to this process. Reach down and hug this part of you. Now, as you do this, I invite you to wrap your arms around yourself as if embracing your little one. Imagine them between your arms and send love to this little person of yours. Think of how old they are. Think of someone you love who is at that age, squeezing tighter. Send pure love to them until they get it. Now, step into the identity of your little person. Take on their role in the vision for a moment. Watch as your sacred self steps into the scene. Listen as the sacred self tells you everything you desperately yearn to hear. Notice how sure they are about what they say. Notice the brilliance of this powerful identity in front of you. Notice how this brilliance comes through you. Watch as you now experience the message coming in. However, from the perspective of your little person, allow yourself to feel and open yourself to the words this sacred identity has for you. Permit yourself to act as if you pretend in ways that stuck. So, what's the risk of allowing yourself to believe something worth believing? Now, feel them hug you. Feel the same amount of love you remember enveloping you now. Squeeze your sacred self back as you are actually in the scene. Allow these two constructs to combine and create a collaborative experience beyond words. Drink as much of this experience as you can right now. Your level of permission to allow here supports your ability to see the thread of work in theater in your life. Feel your emotions in your body. Notice the place that are shifting. Give the words of this sacred agency. Belief is a powerful thing. In the deep conscious, it only takes a mustard seed. Allow the expansive mindset of sacred identity to be experienced by the trapped part of you. How does loving yourself here in this way change things for you? Notice what you gain. Now step back into the body of your sacred identity. Step back into this divine construct you have cultivated and open your heart. Allow yourself to be open to receive love. See how this part of you received your love. Open your heart and invite this part of you back into your heart. Open your heart and invite this part back into you. Let them enter and come again. If they say resist, honor that response. Whatever they want is perfect. because you know now who you are. They know who you will become. Notice you access the little one. The next time you're triggered, you will understand this construct is coming online. It's seeking your sacred identity because your sacred identity flows from the very thing you are desperate to obtain. Also, notice there is a third part of you that chooses between the two identities. You. Feel what having this part of you consciously online does for all parts of you. See how these identities you program to live your life through. Now, finally, the agency to choose how to feel and how to show up in the world. Step 8. Acknowledge transmutation. It's time to go back and review and analyze. This part of the process offers affirmation. Sacred confirmation is always a good thing. Let's check in. Did you feel something shift in this process? If not, follow through again with an active imagination process. Notice what you are feeling. This is all you. You brought all of this. Notice how powerful your mind is. You either train the mind or get trained by it. Today, you trained your mind. Stop for a moment and take action to anchor these feelings within you. Something as simple as a dance or some ice cream. How do you feel about your suffering now? How has it adjusted as a result of your work? Remember, this is all a process. Permit yourself to be in the process and not in completion. Completion never happens. Always recovering and not recovered. You are always living, not lived. Step 9. Take action. Integration. Your strategics in coming online, it wants to show you the importance of the rubber hitting the road. It wants me to tell you how much money has been wasted by people maintaining a problem to which they have already been given a solution. Without integration, nothing you do to change yourself will stick. Learning to shift your axis mundi in theater is empowering. Integrating the shift is now, is the activation of that power. Being empowered and learning to react and learning to act on that power are two different conversations. In the meantime, what can you do to cultivate more of your sacred identity? I suggest spending time in contemplation around this part of you. Load your sacred identity and go order a coffee. Fully embody this part of you. Do things that strengthen your association with this identity. You will find the relationship improve more and more as you do the work. Integration is necessary. Even the most potent journey is only good as the integration you are able to accomplish. What can you do to bring your sacred identity online? And when it matters, try looking forward in life and see the places where the old identity came out and the new one came online. Moving through a higher identity gives us the depths of insights and choices. It's not about putting a sparkly band aid on your feelings, it's about widening the identity you are coming to them for. What can you do to integrate these two identities? Can you see the higher identity showing up where the lower identity used to? Now, as you transition from the sacred space and move back to the tangible world, the process continues. Look around the room. Allow your consciousness to descend out of the flow of Higher thought. What day is it? What time is it? Where are you? Feel the temperature of the air and on your skin. Recognize it as it registers in your mind. Feel your body as it is being held up right now. Be in your body. This is where you integrate what you learned. There are certain truths. Neurons that fire together, wire together. Without doing the work to connect these two identities, the work won't take hold. This is called integration. Integration is taking an insight, plan, or strategy and implementing it into the realized world. It becomes part of the construct of whatever relationship you want to improve. It's the transformation of your internal insights into the tangible change. This metamorphosis typically links directly to the profound work you've been undertaken. You might weave this transformation through SMART goals or immersive in theater process. Integration takes time. Think of integration as your pen, and now it's moving in a different direction than the one you had previously programmed it to write. The experience of the story called you. The power lies in the fusion of your newfound wisdom with action. Prompt. What will you do to bring to fruition what you now know to be true? What will you do to support new insights taking root in your realized world? Consider spending 10 minutes 3 times over the week loading up your sacred identity and then turning within to reconnect these 2 points of your identity together. The results are typically magical. This action will deepen your work's impact in your life. Insights not integrating remain a daydream. Knowing where your loop of suffering originates isn't power. Integration of awareness and change is what you seek. Perhaps you find take time to do the work. This is just past the comfort zone where you're stuck, noticing the emotion as you move in the direction of your sacred self. Step 10. Embrace ongoing growth. How will your life change by cultivating meaning from a newly created identity? Rather than living from the lower identity you had unknowingly and unconsciously programmed to bring online. Really envision how life will change, both positive and negative. What will change? How will your life be different? Imagine your life with a higher identity coming online by choice. Imagine 10 years of cultivating your sacred identity, even through difficult times, especially through difficult times. What change is felt in the good times? What will your future look like? More on this aspect in a second. First, I want to ensure you recognize and are cognizant of every step of the process, giving you the ability to deepen your practice by turning within. By learning to practice these strategic dives, you grow more competent by recalling more of the running constructs. The more faith you put in trusting the process, the more insights the process will reveal to you. I look forward to hearing the stories of how closing the circuit works for you. At this point, it's appropriate for you to close the container you opened when you began this process. Say a prayer, release your intentions, and blow out the candle. I hope you found a sliver of healing. This process has provided countless others who have practiced it a step forward. If you desire to go deeper, please visit the Mastering Change website for one of the iGroups. Bless you. That concludes chapter 15. That concludes chapter 15 of that book, and we'll continue with chapter 16 at another time.